Well, hello there, my YouTube family. So I just wanted to drop by real quickly to have a discussion on something that I realize has been affecting so many of us. I want to have a quick one about settling. So I look around me and I see so many people settling for situations that they ought not to have been in. I see people settling for jobs knowing that their capabilities expand the job description that is in front of them. They have settled out of intimidation or simply not understanding the value that they will bring to this situation. Then you have people who settle in relationships. And when I speak of relationships, I'm not speaking only of intimate relationships. Yes, those are included, and primarily so. But I'm also speaking of friendships. I'm speaking of churchships, fellowships, different sort of interactions which minimize us. People settle for situations and circumstances around them, not knowing that they are far more valuable than what they have been settling for. I think the big question for some of us is, why do people settle? But before we even answer that question, I'll just throw this in. Have you ever thought about the expression, settle down? Why not settle up? Have you ever heard people saying level down? We hear of leveling up. So, even though the expression settle really speaks to a place of, some people will argue, of permanence, the suggestion of the word even settling down is an indication that you're going a little below, and in some instances way below, your capabilities, your potential, and so on and so forth. The bigger question, however, is, why do people settle? And so I am suggesting that people settle because they have no idea of who they truly are. They have no idea of their capabilities, their potentials, and the amazing things that have been invested in them. Oftentimes, as we navigate this discussion, the important distinction is between value and worth, because they're often conflated or used interchangeably. But value and worth are two different things. They are related, but they are different. And I'll demonstrate it by using this example. Let's say you have a house, a 4-bedroom house, 3-bathroom with a 2 jacuzzi tub, marble countertops, marble tiles, nicely manicured lawn, your pool in the back. Hey, everybody's dream, isn't it? And let's say it is 2018 and this house is valued at, let's say, $500,000 US. Yeah? It's properly furnished and it has some amazing interior decor. But let's say it's now 2021 and some sort of event, economic issue has happened which has affected the value of the house. Let's say COVID. I think a lot of us can relate to COVID. So COVID has happened and there is no longer a demand for that kind of house, hypothetically, right? So now the valuator comes around and you are alarmed to find out that a $500,000 house is now being valued by these valuators only to be $200,000. Now, nothing about the house has changed. The location has not changed. The decor hasn't changed. You still have your two jacuzzi tubs. You still have that 4 bedroom. The structure is still in place. The pool is still in the back. The lawn is still very much manicured. However, 2 years later, I hope my math is correct, a house that was $500,000 is now 200,000. Why is that? Because the exterior factors have determined the value of the house. However, the worth of that house is still inside. The marble top's still inside. The jacuzzi tub still inside. Yet the value has been amended. And I use that example because it's very similar to many of our lives. Sometimes, or oftentimes, we use exterior factors to determine who we are and, by indication, our sense of worth. Who we hang out with, the circles that we're in, the jobs that we have, everything exterior to determine who we are. And the sad thing is, many of us never look inside of us to see who we truly are. Many of us don't understand the deposits that God has placed in our lives that distinguish us, that determine the amazing greatness that we're capable of. And so our sense of worth is not at the place where it ought to be. Recently, I listened to a young woman, a very popular woman, which will remain nameless. And she spoke about her frustration of not walking in her true worth. This is what she said. She said, I'm tired of the bubble baths. I'm tired of the parties. I'm tired of everything else around me. I just want to find true joy and true happiness. And I thought to myself, that has to come from within, don't you think? Joy and a sense of happiness has to come from within, an understanding of what is important to you, what is valuable to you. But yet many of us navigate this life never truly identifying who we are, and we settle in things that we ought not to have found ourselves in. We settle for people who we ought not to have found ourselves around, and we settle for tasks and situations that are way below our standards. Settling, my friend, is extremely dangerous because it places us in circumstances that make our life even more difficult. We find ourselves in situations that can be difficult to navigate because of the decisions we have made. And the decisions that we have made is oftentimes a reflection of how we see ourselves. So let's look at a very popular story of what happens when one settles. A lot of us know the story of Abraham, yes? Father Abraham has many sons, yes? Or the amazing Abraham, father of faith, the Abraham that God told to leave his land and go to the promised land. One of the questions that many of us never ask is, I wonder why Abraham was at this place. How did Abraham find himself at a place where God said to Abraham, now I need you to leave, you and your people, to leave to a land that I will show you. See, what a lot of people don't know, it's that it wasn't Abraham who was at that place. It was his father Terah who settled at the place. And I'm going to show it to you. Genesis 11. We're going to pick up at verse 31. Let me just scribble through and find that for you. Okay. So here goes. Genesis 11, 31. And I'm reading from the New International Version. It says, Terah, who is Abraham's father, took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans or Chaldeans, some people say, to go to Canaan. They're leaving from Ur of the Chaldeans, and their destination is Canaan. Watch this. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. The word Canaan, many of you will know, means the promised land. Haran means the place of comfort. So let's just break this down. They left one place, Ur of the Chaldeans, to go to a place, Canaan. But when they got to the place of comfort, they say, why bother? Move on. We're comfortable here. As a result of this, if you read the story later on, Abram fought some battles that he should not have found himself in had he not gone through these situations or these destinations. I say that to say, many of us are navigating situations because we have found ourselves at places or in situations where we should not have found ourselves in the first place. The situation that Abram found himself in when God said, get up out of this place, he should not have been there in the first place. And as I recount this story, I want to encourage you. What are some of the situations you have found yourself in where you kind of think to yourself, I should not have even been here? Now, we are going to look at later on, not in this episode, ways to navigate moving from settling to a place of promise and to a place of purpose. I ask you the question, why are you settling when you can soar? What are some of the things that have you settling in that place and you know that you're better than that? You know you've got more to give. You know that a different relationship, and again, I'm not saying necessarily intimate relationship. It could be a friend. It could be a friendship. It could be a churchship. We don't like to talk about those. It could be a churchship. It could be an allyship. All kind of ships. But one of them, what have we found ourselves in where we know there is better for us? As we enter into a new season in our lives, I want us to take an incisive approach and have a look at our own lives to see where we have settled and what do we need to do to move on to the next level of where God has called us to be. Now, one of the things that I should have addressed earlier when I spoke about the house is this. Sometimes, depending on what has happened to the outside of that house, let's say a hurricane, those things can affect the value of a house or how people look at the value of the house. But if they came inside, their impression of that house would change automatically. And I did not want to miss this, because I wanted to remind you that some of the things that have battered us on the outside, remember, the value that we have on the inside has never changed. The events in your life that have given you a different view of your life, or others have had a different view of your life, remember, the seeds of greatness are still inside of you. So you don't need to settle. So I ask you again, why settle when you can soar? Listen, I'll be dropping one of these videos every week. So I encourage you, why not share this video? Why not like? And why not subscribe so you do not miss further updates each week as I drop these videos? Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you when I share the next video. Be sure to drop your comments and I will definitely respond to these. Thanks again, and I wish you a very blessed day.